I now want to invite other African experiences, and I will welcome the leaders or representative of curriculum centers in the countries that have visited us. I want to call upon the country of South Sudan. Mr. Omot, kindly join us on stage. I want to call Malawi on stage. Malawi, I've forgotten your name. Which would, yeah, good, sorry. Mr. Austin Kalambo from Malawi Institute of Education. Malawi, kindly come on stage. I want to call Professor Andrew from Burundi. Kindly come on stage. I want to call Kamis from Niger. Niger or Niger. That name that I can't pronounce. Niger, come kindly, and he's from the Curriculum Directorate under the Ministry of Education in that country. That is a tongue twister for me. I want to call Uganda, Madam, yes, Daktari, Karibu. Bridget? Benedict, yeah, Benedict, come on stage. I was hoping that my CEO would be here as well, because I'm sure there are questions that you did not finish with him, but as soon as he comes, we shall also tackle Kenya if there are any questions that will come up for Kenya. So Malawi, get on stage. Take your seat. So we have here Uganda, Malawi, Niger, Burundi, and South Sudan. Is there a country I've left out? Mali, were you here?
There is Zanzibar online.
Zanzibar online. Is he able to be part of this? Okay, maybe he can also listen to what other countries are presenting. Members, I want us to listen to that. Having had the Kenyan experience this morning, I want us to listen to the experiences from these countries. And I want to believe that the person interpreting for Kamis is already talking to him to say what I want done. We have about 1 hour, a session of 1 hour. It's now 3 o'clock. We shall go for 1 hour, after which I will happily invite you for the KICD ACA cocktail. Please don't go home. There's a cocktail prepared for all of us. And as soon as they finish, we shall just walk out here for the cocktail. So which I will also allow the director to officially. We are taking this in the honor of the Institute to welcome you to at 4 o'clock. So please don't leave. So our guests here, I've introduced them, and I will ask each one of them one by one to just come and tell us a 10-minute experience of their country. After we have heard what their country, any innovations in their country, any competencies and experiences that they can share. We had a bit of it of Uganda in the morning when she came in slightly after the director said something. So I'll just allow each one of them to tell us their experiences in their countries. You have 10 minutes to present. And if we go too far, I will kindly just tell you pause, so that each one of us has an experience, and then the plenary, if you have any questions for their country, any experience you'd want to share or hear from them, just jot down your question you will ask and specify which country you are asking about. So I will ask by asking Sudan, South Sudan, Mr. Omot kindly. In the next 10 minutes, the stage is yours. Welcome.
Thank you very much, MC. I'm Omot Okunyulok from South Sudan, Director General for National Curriculum Development Center in the Ministry of General Education and Instruction. You know, South Sudan has been in the war for a long time. But in 2005, we actually assigned the peace agreement with Sudan that is called CPA.
Just a moment, Mr. Mott. Kindly, whoever is controlling the screen, we want only the attention on him, not on the screen. Who is there? Kokelo, take care of the screen. Yes, thank you.
CPA took us from 2005 up to 2011. This is where we took our independence. Before that, we were having two curricula in the country. We have the curriculum from Sudan, because after independence, those from Sudan, they came back to South Sudan with Arabic curriculum. And those from liberated area, they came with an English curriculum. So we were having two curriculum. After independence, we thought to pace out the Arabic curriculum and introduce the new curriculum for South Sudan. The legal document that supports the development of curriculum, we have the interim constitution of South Sudan. That is the document we refer to. And in that document, it's saying that South Sudan has to develop its own curriculum. Another legal document is Education Act. Education Act supported the interim constitution of South Sudan. The third element is that the strong political will for the new country to develop its own curriculum. These are the factors that make us to develop the curriculum. We started our curriculum in 2012. In 2011, revising the whole one. Then in 2012, we started what is called the competence-based curriculum. After we have made neat assessment to identify the gaps, and we have made wider consultations with different countries to get their experience. So we developed the curriculum framework where the visions, the missions, the aims, the competencies, and the subjects, and also the timetables are illustrated in the framework. And the framework is the legal document that supports the development of the curriculum. The framework was validated in 2015 by the stakeholders, almost about 500 stakeholders, including the parliament members, we have also invited the president to attend, students, teachers, all the stakeholders was involved. In that validation, two opinions came up. Those who move from East Africa here, they say no, we have to Kiswahili has to be compulsory. And those who came from Sudan, they say no, Arabic has to be compulsory. It's a very big hall. So people have to go to vote. When people vote, those who came from East Africa, they were outvoted. So the Arabic become compulsory from primary 5 up to primary 8. And Kiswahili become elective from senior 4 up to from senior 1 up to senior 4. After the validation of the curriculum, then the curriculum was launched in 2015 under auspices of Vice President Dr. James Waniiga. From there, actually we have two sessions of wars. 2013, our curriculum has stopped because of that crisis. And then when we want to start in 2015, 2016 came, another war also erupted. Our curriculum, we failed to implement the the competency-based curriculum. After 2018, this is where we started to implement the new competency-based curriculum. When we developed the framework, which is the legal document, we also embarked in developing what is called subject overview, which explains the subject in strands, from P1 to P8 and from Senior 1 to Senior 4. After subject overview, we developed the syllabuses. Then immediately, we went to develop the textbooks. And the textbooks was developed with our panels and the publishers. And we have two publishers by then. We have the Mountaintops and the Longhorn. In 2019, after the textbooks has been distributed, now, and we want to implement the new curriculum, the COVID-19 also interrupt the implementation. We are now in the second year using the competency-based curriculum. And we have developed what is called a school-based formative assessment guideline to guide the teachers on how to use the formative-based, school-based formative guideline. And recently, when we came here, we developed the guideline for teachers on how to use the school formative-based assessment. Teachers are going to be trained, and then they will train, the train of trainers will be done, and then they will be trained the teachers. Actually, what makes our curriculum to be successful is that we have involved all the teachers in the beginning. The teachers were involved in the beginning. Even though they were involved in the beginning, still when we distributed the books and they to start the new curriculum, there are also some elements that appeared among the teachers that which they don't want to use the competency-based curriculum. Because the competency-based curriculum is not a simple curriculum. It's very challenging. It's very, very challenging. In some of the schools now, teachers, they store the school in the store. And they don't want to distribute it to the learners, because they are facing also challenges. Though we train them on how to use the textbooks, we orient them on the new curriculum, but still we are facing challenges. Do you know why? The teachers you train today, tomorrow they are not in the school. You train them today, tomorrow they are not in the school. Why? Low salaries. They have to move to another green pastures. So you keep on training teachers, and they keep on moving away from the classroom. And those who remain in the classroom, these are teachers who have no any qualification. If I tell you that grade 8 is teaching in primary, you cannot believe it, but it is there. Dropout secondary school is teaching in secondary. You cannot believe it, but it is there because there is no alternative. We are keeping to upgrade them. When you upgrade them and they get qualified, then now you have a problem. They will run away from the teaching profession. In addition, competency-based need practical work, but these things are not there in the school. These things are not there. We don't have it's not done practically because we don't have equipment to do that. This is also another challenge. So I think this is a very short experience that I can share with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moit. We'll ask, I hope you've jotted a question or two for him at the very end. He will come in after we have had an experience across the room. From Burundi, Professor Andre. That was Andrew, but Andre, I think from your end. Andre, Professor, welcome. 10 minutes experience of Burundi's curriculum innovations.
Thank you very much. Nous avons entendu beaucoup de présentations en anglais. Je vais faire ma présentation en français. J'aurais pu le faire en anglais aussi.
In that case, I will postpone. I will hold this. Okay. I will ask that, Professor, I have a seat for 1 minute.
No, if
you want to do it in English?
No, if it is compulsory, because there was been a claim in the morning.
Because we want to bring the interpreter here when you're presenting and when he's presenting, so that when you talk, the interpreter talks. So you will stand with him here. So okay. Do you want to speak in English as they are being interpreted for, or do you want a physical person here to come?
No, it's not compulsory. What you?
Huh? Yeah. So take your seats. Then we continue in English. Finish English, Professor. With all due respect, then I will have Uganda experience. You had shared a bit in the morning, Benedict. I don't know that to give you only 5 minutes, or you want your 10. It doesn't matter, eh? Okay, so we will hear the English speakers first. Interpretation, French goes on. And then please let him come in after Malawi. Then he can stand here and talk to the people as they speak. Are we together up there? Thank you. Karibu.
Asante, Manager of Session. Good afternoon, colleagues.
Good afternoon.
My name is Bernadette Nambi Karuhanga. I'm the Deputy Director at the National Curriculum Development Center of Uganda, in charge of academics, in charge of curriculum development. The case of Uganda may not be so different from the case of Kenya, like Professor Ngondo had highlighted. We embarked on the review of the curriculum way back in 2008. And because of the different stakeholder interests, we did not take a short time. So we had the privilege of rolling it out in 2020. So that's like 12 years down the road. In 2020 February, when we rolled out the curriculum, which is competence-based, because we had been implementing an objective-based curriculum, the current senior 4 learners are undertaking the old curriculum, but our current senior 3 students are doing the competence-based curriculum. So in 2020, February, we rolled it out. Of course, there was resistance, and to some extent, there is still some resistance, but it's not so pronounced as it was then. And like the experience of Kenya and I guess of Sudan, South Sudan, my apologies. One of the reasons for the resistance, I think, is the fear of change. And in Uganda, you find that about 65% or so of the schools are owned by private individuals. And therefore, because we have the private sector taking the bigger percentage of schools in the country, and the way they sometimes operate, they ride a lot on the grades. They ride a lot on the A's, the distinctions, the first grades. And I think we had kind of neutralized that by saying that we would focus more on school-based assessment, and we would also change our assessment modalities from norm-referenced to criterion-referenced assessment. And so we were saying we don't need to emphasize a lot the grades, and yet the grades are the ones which make the private schools to shine. And of course, there was that resistance to the extent, like I shared in the morning, that we found ourselves being invited in Parliament to present the justification why we think we should not stop the reform. And this happened in about 3 weeks to the date of launching our new curriculum. And like the professor said, we had to do a lot of lobbying. The politicians, the stakeholders, of course our honorable minister, who is also the first lady, was behind us, and for us that was the only way we managed to get through. I think if it wasn't for that, if we hadn't convinced her that this is the best for our country, I don't think we would have made it. So she was able to convince His Excellency, but funnily enough, or interestingly enough, His Excellency had taken interest in history and political education as a subject, because it is that's what I think he graduated in, and he had personally made an input in that subject. And so he had an idea of what we were talking about, and when we explained to him that we were having a challenge, he was on our side. And so he had to convene a meeting with the members of Parliament, and he told them, what is the problem? Why don't you want this good thing? And of course, we were told to leave, and they exchanged, I don't know what they discussed. And then the next day when we went to Parliament, we were cleared by the Speaker and the Parliament. It was at that time that we realized that the curriculum is a political instrument, that if you do not take into consideration the politics, you may fail to implement the curriculum. So ever since then, we are so mindful. Our ears are always on the ground to listening to what the politics is in as far as the curriculum is concerned. So our experience, Professor, are just like your experiences. And right now we are in our 3rd year of implementation of the lower secondary curriculum, which is also competence-based. Our learners will be graduating or will be sitting the first examination for the end of cycle next year in November, December. But again, for the fact that we moved away from a teacher-centered curriculum to a learner-centered curriculum, and you know, most of our teachers, if not all, were trained on a teacher-centered way of teaching, where they feel that as teachers, they must be the center of the teaching learning process. So the change of mindset has been a challenge, to the extent that even now, as we are talking about rolling out our competence-based curriculum, we still have pockets of teachers who are still teaching, who are still dominating the teaching learning process. And even then, we agitated, we say that we wanted interactive materials that allow the learner to study even when they don't have the teacher in the picture. Unfortunately, we find that majority of schools are still using the old materials, which were more of narratives, you know, those old materials we used when we were studying, where they give you the story, the first man in Uganda and all that, you know, they tell you everything. And yet here we are saying we want the learner to use this knowledge to do something for themselves, or to use the knowledge to solve a problem. So we are still having a challenge, especially for the schools that are in the periphery, but also the schools that are owned by the private individuals. As a ministry, we have made efforts to train, to retool the teachers, but again, like the South Sudan experience, we cannot retool every teacher because of the resources, the resource constraints. So you retool a given number of teachers from each school, and then after a term, they shift to other schools. So you find a school literally having no trained teacher, because as you train in this holiday, the next time they've gone to another school, and those who come here were never trained. So there is still that challenge also, the teachers, but also the teachers' perception and attitude towards the competence-based curriculum is still a challenge, because they feel that it's so draining on their part, because it requires a lot of preparation. You have to think through the activities you must engage in the learners so that they are able, to understand the concepts and to acquire the competences for them to be able to use or to do whatever they are supposed to do. So we are having quite a number of challenges. But what are some of the innovations? We of course moved away from teacher-centered approaches to learner-centered pedagogies. We have included vocational learning. We have vocationalized the curriculum by making sure that we are no longer just teaching the theoretical bit of the curriculum. We are also emphasizing that in each of the subjects there must be an element of learners being able to do something. So we vocationalized the curriculum. We introduced project-based learning, where each learner is expected to do at least a project at Senior 1 and 2 in each of the subjects. We have 12 subjects that a learner must do at Senior 1 and 2, and in Senior 1 the learner is supposed to do 6 projects, 2 per term, and then in Senior 2, 6 projects, 2 per term. And then when they transcend to Senior 3, they are supposed to do 1 project, which they can move on to, which they can proceed to Senior 4 doing, and that will be assessed at the end of cycle. It will contribute 20% of the total grade, of the total score of the learner. We have also emphasized the integration of generic skills, which we normally call the 21st century skills, the values, the cross-cutting issues, and ICT as a tool for learning, much as we also have the experiences of lack of infrastructure, of lack of internet connectivity. But like the professor said, for us, we look at the global perspective and we are saying, yes, we don't have them, but those who have them can use. Those who don't have, we have provided alternatives, but also we are mindful that our children are not being trained for Ugandan market only, but tomorrow they may find themselves in Kenya, and if they don't have any ICT knowledge, they stand to be disadvantaged. We developed what we did a needs assessment before we embarked on the review. We developed a curriculum framework, just like South Sudan did. We went ahead to do now the development of the syllabuses, and we went through the approval processes, just like the Kenyan experience. We have our internal processes where you start, first of all, as a curriculum developer. You unpack the needs assessment study to identify what you think is appropriate for your subject, but then you have to take everything through the process. You start with the panels. The panels can say this is okay, this is not okay. You go to the quality assurance committee, you go to the academic steering board, which looks at the whole package to see whether it makes sense. Then you go to the governing council, which says it's okay. Now, after the governing council, you now start on the ministry working groups. You go to the sector policy management committee to see whether what you're saying is okay. You take it to the top management of the ministry, which involves the minister, and there they may say we are not comfortable, or they may say we are comfortable. When we reached the top management, we had proposed 6 compulsory subjects, and we had said the learners would be free now to get anything like 1 or 2. And they said, no, 6 is not okay. So they said, now which ones are those 6? So for us, we had talked of, actually it was, we had said English, math, and we had talked of the sciences, and one humanity. And they said, no way. And we ended up talking about 11 compulsory subjects. So the learner has only one additional subject. Now, you as the technocrats may have your reasons for something, but along the way, the different forces will come in with their own ideas, and sometimes you cannot do much about it because it's about consensus building, but also the curriculum is not being developed for us. The curriculum is for the people. So if the people feel that that's what they want, so be it. So after that, we had to present to the cabinet again, and the cabinet also, they also had their interest, but good enough. The 11 subjects were already enough for these learners, and then they said, okay, let's leave it at that. So those are some of the challenges we go through as curriculum developers, and I want to believe that we all go through those challenges in our different countries. So for me, I would love to know, how have the others managed, probably what strategies they have used to make sure that they try to neutralize. I know Professor talked about the lobbying. Sometimes you may try to lobby, but sometimes it may not always work. But the lobbying to some extent works. So basically, that's all that I have to say. I just want to say one more thing. We started with 6 subjects compulsory. We went to 11 subjects. Now, last year we were told we must add Kiswahili. Yes, secondary level. We must add Kiswahili because now Kiswahili is an East African language, but also African Union language. And so the learners are now offering 12 compulsory subjects plus Kiswahili, leaving them with only one elective. So that is our experience. Thank you for listening.
Good. Let's clap for Bernadette. She went slightly over time, but I was able to keep telling her time, something that I was not able to tell my director in the morning. So thank you so much. That is a Ugandan experience. There's a lot of familiarity with what you're saying, and it speaks a lot to us, because some of those things, even some of the challenges you gave, Mr. Moit, that's just what we are going through. You train teachers, when you go again, you realize they are no longer there, but every country is handling their challenges the way they know best. We also are really trying to tackle ours. I want to invite Malawi. Kindly come. Your 10 minutes, let it be 10. And then after that, we'll have the French speaking, and then the interpretation will be done from there. And then we have one more experience from Zanzibar. So, Mr. What was your name? Mr. Kalambo? Yes. From Malawi, Institute of Education, Karibu Sana. 1 minute. Thank you. Thank you, Kalambo.
Thank you once again. My name is Austin Kalambo, and I'm a director for curriculum development at Malawi Institute of Education. Malawi Institute of Education is just like KICD, so it's a National Curriculum Development Center. So in Malawi, we use the outcome-based education. My previous speakers were talking about competency-based. We use the outcome-based education in primary, secondary, but also in the initial primary teacher education. So OBE. So the OBE, we have localized it. So it's different from the OBE that we find it in New Zealand. It's different from the OB that you find in South Africa. Why? Because we learned lessons from them. It wasn't working, and there are so many complaints about it. So what we have done, we have introduced textbooks, which is against the principle of OBE. But also our syllabuses, we have put more detailed, almost prescribed them, which is also against the principles of what? OBE. So when it comes to the TVET, Technical Vocational and Entrepreneurial Education and Training, that's where we use what we call CBET. This one is competence now. Competence-based education and training. So that's where it is used. We are still using the 448. I think we should migrate to a concept now and not the numbers as previous speakers have said. In terms of the early child education, or the ECD, is not in the Ministry of Education, but it's in the Ministry of Gender and Child Affairs. So that's where now we are lecturing to bring it to education, to bring it to the Curriculum Development Center so that we can also develop curricula for that. The same with adult education. So that one again is in the Ministry of Gender and Child Affairs. So when it comes to curriculum review, the primary we last reviewed in 2007, the secondary 2015, the teacher education 2018. Why I'm saying so, one of the challenges is that we take time to review. The curriculum gets outdated, and for us to review, it takes time. Why? The treasury will say, no, we don't have the finances. You want billions. So we don't have the finances. So we keep on postponing. But fortunately, now I've opened up all the three lines. So we're reviewing curricula for primary, for secondary, but also the primary teacher education. As one of the innovations in the primary teacher education, we're also migrating from the certificate to diploma and degree. So we're in a very initial stages. We're in the needs assessment. I was leading the flyer somewhere about KICD, their curriculum development process. So it's much, much closer to what we also do. We go through 4 phases. The curriculum, initiation and planning, that's where we have the needs assessment and takes different forms. Curriculum survey, consultative meetings, education conferences, symposia, all sorts of forms. From there, then we conceptualize the curriculum. So the major output or outcome for that phase is the curriculum and assessment framework. So that's the blueprint that will help us to develop the curriculum. Then we go into material development. For primary, we develop even the textbooks. But for secondary, we only evaluate they are being developed by private publishers. There is also a challenge on that one. Private publishers, they go for subjects which are on high demand, marketable. So you see that subjects which have low uptake, they will not publish for that. So we keep on calling for gap-filling evaluation, and those gaps, they're never filled. So when you say, can we go back and review the policy? They say, no, we are going to kill the private sector. So that's another challenge that we go through it. So after material development, we go into implementation and support, but also monitoring, evaluation, and the learning process. So in terms of resource mobilization, it's really on the 2 stages. When it comes to implementation and M&E, it goes down. There is fatigue in terms of funding, fatigue in terms of support from the ministry and other stakeholders. So you are most likely left on your own. Our colleagues here talked about political interference and other things that they go through when trying to have their curricular materials approved. So what we have done to overcome that problem is that we are using the governance structures heavily. So we have curriculum coordinating committees where we have all the deputy directors from the ministry. We also have people from the universities and the like. So it's a technical committee. So they thrash out all those issues to do with the curriculum at technical level. So before we move to another stage, we go for National Steering Committee, which is a policy body, gives policy direction. It approves each and every stage. So we take the materials, the approaches, the strategies to that committee after the CCC, Curriculum Coordinating Committee. So those materials, they get approved at that point. When that is done, ladies and gentlemen, we're safe. When we finalize the curriculum, we simply send it to the Secretary for Education for approval. The Parliamentary Committee on Education, we engage them in the process. So we have never had any problem with the Parliament and other officials in that chain. I'll come to the real challenges that we face. I said that it takes time to review the curriculum. Our policy says after a cycle, we're saying is 8-4-4. So primary, after 8 years, we need to go back and review the curriculum. Secondary, we need, after 4 years, from 1 to from 4, we need to go back again and review the curriculum. That doesn't happen. So what fills the gap? What fills the gap is the piecemeal curriculum reviews. So we go to one subject and review it. Move on. Go to another subject. Oh, no. Here there's so much. I mean, we have observed a very large gap. We go and review it, and so on, and move on. So this brings challenges. The NGOs, the donors, interest group will come to say, no, can we do the English curriculum online? Can we do we call it Chichewa, it's like Swahili, curriculum online? Can we do the life skills? These are hot potatoes, the three that I've talked about. So you review it, the others are not being reviewed. And when they say, can we come and review, they want to take over the driving seat and start calling the shots. Why? Because they bring the dollars, a lot of money. They convince our colleagues in the mainstream government to say, we're going to finance each and everything, and you'll be seen like you are doing something. So that's where our greatest challenge is. Unwarranted entities in the curriculum development, interfering with our mandates, with our functions. So that is our greatest challenge. Innovations, yes, she has given me 10 minutes and it's reminding me. Innovations, we are doing the interactive labs where students can do experiment online, not only online, but also the software can be downloaded but also offline, I should say. Also, we are doing the school leadership program so that we can enhance the instructional leadership in primary, secondary, and other forms of leadership. Also, we are distributing tablets to learners in primary schools. In 5 years, we'll have each and every learner having a tablet where we interact with the material. We have increased the recruitment and training of teachers. We have also we are investing heavily in foundational learning. The challenges have already alluded to. That it takes time. Unwarranted entities in the curriculum development, but also some subjects have got very low uptake. Those subjects which are vocational in nature and so on. So Kiswahili, yes, is coming to Malawi, and also Portuguese. So it's an AU subject, but also like Portuguese, again, it's a subject for commerce. So it's a language for commerce, rather. The experiences are many. I think maybe we can take the whole day sharing them, but this is what I wanted to share with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I like that you're really taking it down, you know my height. Thank you so much, Mr. Kalambo, the director of KICD of, yes, the KICD of that place. Before we became KICD, we were Kenya Institute of Education also, just Malawi Institute of Education. So thank you very much. Did you give him a good clap? Thank you, thank you. Back to you, Professor Andre. Are you there, ready? Actually, they said they'll do it from up there. So they will listen, they will interpret. We have an interpreter there. He has a mic, only that we won't turn our backs, but we shall just listen and look at the presenter. Professor, Burundi experience, 10 minutes, welcome. How do you say welcome?
Thank you.
How do I say welcome in your language? Huh?
Bienvenue, karibu.
That one is hard, karibu. Let me say it in Kiswahili.
Yeah.
Karibu, karibu. Okay? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we are ready.
Merci beaucoup. Moi, je suis le directeur général des curricula et des innovations pédagogiques.
Thank you very much. I'm the director of the curriculum and innovations.
C'est une structure du ministère de l'Éducation nationale.
It's a structure of the Ministry of National Education.
Au Burundi, pour élaborer les curricula, on tient compte de 3 facteurs.
So in Burundi, when we are coming up with curriculum, we take note of 3 factors.
Le premier facteur, c'est le résultat de l'évaluation du curriculum en vigueur. Le deuxième facteur, c'est l'avis des enseignants innovateurs.
Donc, we have the assessment of the results, and then we also take note of the teachers.
Non, c'est l'évaluation du curriculum, pas des résultats.
Okay, so it's a curriculum assessment of the curriculum,
Oui. Et puis, il y a aussi l'analyse des besoins de la communauté.
And then we have the needs assessment of the community.
Oui, c'est à partir de là que, au niveau de l'Assemblée nationale, ils définissent les priorités sur lesquelles on va travailler.
Donc, it's from that at the level of the National Assembly that they are able to define what they will be able to work with on.
Ok. Alors, au niveau, si vous voulez, de l'élaboration des curricula, il y a des techniques qui sont là, qui sont connues, mais à chaque phase, on invite les enseignants pour donner leur avis.
Donc, during development of curriculum, we know there are steps that are followed, there are techniques, but we also invite the teachers to take part in the process.
Parce que nous avons vu que lorsque vous avez un curriculum, si les enseignants ne sont pas impliqués, c'est toujours la mise en œuvre qui est compliquée.
Because we know very well if the teachers are not involved in curriculum development process, it will be a futile exercise.
Au Burundi, nous avons 3 bureaux qui sont sous ma direction générale. Le bureau des curricula du préscolaire et de l'enseignement fondamental.
So there are 3 bureaus under his auspices. So we have the first one is the Bureau of Early Childhood and the preschool.
Il y a aussi le bureau chargé des curricula de l'enseignement général et pédagogique.
And then we have the Bureau of General Teaching. Pardon?
Oui, c'est ça.
Oui.
Il y a aussi le bureau chargé de l'enseignement technique.
And then we have for the Bureau for Technical Learning and Teaching.
Pour le bureau chargé de l'enseignement technique, il travaille essentiellement au niveau des ateliers et des industries.
Therefore, for the Bureau of the Technical Teaching, it works at the level of workshops.
c'est au niveau des ateliers, au niveau des industries aussi.
At the level of the workshops, at the level of industry.
Et puis, au niveau de l'enseignement de base, on développe essentiellement les curricula qui sont liés à l'autonomie des enfants.
So for basic education, they come up with a curriculum that emphasizes on the learner's independence or autonomy.
Parce que aujourd'hui, on est sûr que le gouvernement ne peut pas donner de l'emploi à tout le monde. C'est pour cela que les curricula qui sont élaborés visent essentiellement la créativité et l'esprit entrepreneurial.
Because we know very well that the government cannot give jobs these days to everyone. That's why we emphasize on a curriculum that is based on creativity of the learners.
Au Burundi, lorsque on revoit les curricula, on revoit ça par bloc, par tout le système.
So in Burundi, when we are looking at curriculum review, we look at the holistic review. That means the whole system.
Par exemple, au Burundi, au niveau de l'enseignement de base, les 3 premières années sont en Kirundi, la langue nationale.
For the first 3 years of basic education, the teaching is done in Kirundi, the national language of Burundi.
Et à partir de la 3e année, nous avons une année de transition où les cours sont appris en français, sauf l'anglais et le kiswahili.
So then we move to the 4th year, which is like a transition year. And here, lessons are taught in French, except English and Kirundi. And Kiswahili.
Depuis 2008, le Burundi est membre de la communauté est-africaine et de ce fait, on attache une grande importance au Kiswahili et à l'anglais.
Since 2008, Burundi is part of the East Africa community, and therefore we put a lot of importance on Kiswahili, which is the language for the East African community.
C'est pour cela qu'au niveau de l'enseignement secondaire, les enfants ont le choix de faire leurs enseignements en français, en anglais, en français ou en anglais.
That's why at the secondary level, learners have the option of doing their studies either in French or in English.
Et au niveau supérieur, les candidats peuvent suivre les universités anglaises ou en français ou en anglais, ou bien s'il y a un enseignant qui enseigne en anglais, il y va en anglais, s'il enseigne en français, il y va en français.
At the higher studies level, the learners also can take their studies in English or in French, and if there is a teacher who can teach in French, then the learners will follow the French, and if there is one who does in English, the learners are also able to pursue their studies in English.
Au Burundi, nous comptons mettre en avant l'enseignement bilingue parce que, étant donné que le Burundi est un petit pays en superficie, les enfants peuvent aller dans n'importe quel pays pour chercher du travail, que ce soit à l'East African Community ou bien dans les pays francophones.
We put emphasis on bilingualism in Burundi. That means learning doing things in more than one language, in 2 languages, because the learners then can therefore pursue their studies or go to work in different parts of the world if they want, either in the East African communities or either any other part of the world.
Les grands défis, comme vous l'avez dit, après 5 ans d'évaluation des curricula, les besoins de la population ont déjà changé. Et c'est pour cela que beaucoup de fois, on refait toujours et la société nous accuse que la révision vient relativement tard.
The main challenge that we have is that the review comes 5 years, and by then the needs assessment or the needs of the society have changed. So sometimes we are accused by the society or the community of delaying the reviews.
Le développement technologique et économique va plus vite que le développement des curricula.
Economic and technological development moves normally faster than the curriculum itself.
Actuellement, nous sommes en train d'harmoniser les curricula de l'éducation au Burundi par rapport aux autres curricula de l'Afrique de l'Est.
So at the moment, we are trying to harmonize the curriculum of Burundi to the other curricula of the different countries of the East African community.
À l'enseignement de base, nous sommes en train de travailler sur les curricula de mathématiques.
At the level of basic education, we are working on the syllabus of the curriculum for mathematics.
Et au niveau de l'enseignement supérieur, on est en train de travailler sur les programmes de l'agriculture, de l'agronomie, de la médecine et de l'architecture.
And in the higher levels of education, we are working now on development of curriculum for the areas of agriculture, agronomy, and architecture.
Au niveau de base, on suit le mouvement du monde où depuis le matin, on a parlé de l'éducation de transformation.
At the basic education, we are following what like we're calling the wave in the world. That is the curriculum of transformation.
Nous avons toujours à apprendre des autres, mais nous comptons organiser l'éducation au Burundi en fonction de nos besoins.
We are willing and we're ready to learn from others, but we are also going to develop our curriculum according to the needs of the Burundian society.
Voilà.
Thank you. That's the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much. Professor, I was waiting to hear merci beaucoup, and I didn't hear. I think that's the only French word I know. Thank you very much. And thank you, you're doing a good job up there. And kindly colleagues and participants, any question to any of them, we shall have in the next 15 minutes, they shall be roaring here. And as they come, we are also expecting anyone that was not answered by the director for the Kenyan situation in the morning, so that we have the whole of this responding to all of us alongside the other African countries. Niger, welcome. Karibu sana. Kamis. Welcome. Yeah. Same thing up there. All right.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Moi, c'est Kamis Serfedine. Je suis le directeur du curriculum et de la promotion des langues nationales au Niger.
He is the head of the curriculum and the promotion of national languages in Niger.
Avant de dire très rapidement ce que j'ai à dire, je voudrais saluer la tenue de cette réunion, de cette conférence, et surtout saluer l'ACA, parce que nous pensons que c'est une structure panafricaine dont la mission sera très importante dans l'unification de l'Afrique de manière générale et de l'unification de notre système éducatif.
Okay, before I begin, I would wish, first of all, to salute the organizers of this conference, and also ACA, because I believe ACA is going to play a very great role in the unification of Africa, especially in the terms of education and curriculum.
Le Niger croit réellement en l'ACA. L'année dernière, en Gambie, nous étions 2, Gertrude. Actuellement, nous sommes 4. C'est dire que nous accordons une importance particulière à cette institution, à cette association.
Niger believes greatly in ACA, And last year, they were in Gambia. There were 4 of them. And that goes a great way to show how much interest they have in ACA.
Clap. Clap.
Oh, I've already said.
L'histoire du curriculum au Niger elle est très longue parce que la question du curriculum au Niger s'est posée déjà dans les années 70.
The history of curriculum in Niger is very long because this story began all along in the years of 1970s.
Parce que on s'est rendu compte que les programmes, les systèmes éducatifs hérités de la colonisation avaient des limites.
It is at that point that we realized that curriculum that was taken from the colonialists had limits.
Et qu'il va falloir créer un système éducatif qui réponde le mieux aux aspirations et aux besoins de la communauté.
And it was therefore necessary to come up with a curriculum that was going to respond to the needs of the community, of the Niger society.
Et les premiers à faire le constat, au Niger, c'était les enseignants.
The first one was about the teachers.
Les enseignants de l'école primaire se sont rendus compte que l'enseignement qu'ils donnaient aux enfants était incapable de leur permettre de dire exactement le message qu'ils veulent transmettre aux enfants.
The curriculum that was taught at the primary level, it was noticed that what the teachers gave the learners was not able to make the learners transmit what exactly was said.
Et c'est pourquoi la première expérience au Niger en matière de transformation curriculaire a été l'expérimentation de ce que nous avions appelé à l'époque les écoles expérimentales.
That's why the first experience was to come up with schools that they were calling at that time point schools for experiment.
Et cette expérimentation avait commencé avec 2 langues.
So that experimentation began with 2 languages.
Nous avons à l'est du pays ce qu'on appelle les Hausa.
So we have Hausa at the east of the country.
Et à l'ouest, nous avons le Songhai Zarma.
And in the west we have le Songhai Zarma.
Voilà, donc c'était des écoles expérimentales qui véhiculaient où l'enseignement était dispensé en langue, particulièrement dans les 2 langues que j'avais citées.
Donc, therefore, it was in these schools that we are calling schools for experimentation that the teaching was done in these languages that we have mentioned.
Mais la véritable refondation du curriculum a commencé en 2012.
But the true reform of curriculum started in 2012.
Et la particularité de cette approche du curriculum au Niger, c'est d'abord l'entrée par les langues nationales.
So, the main thing, the peculiar thing about the curriculum in Niger was the beginning, the entry of the national language.
Oui, parce que toutes les études ont démontré que l'enfant apprend plus vite et il apprend mieux lorsqu'il est enseigné dans sa langue nationale.
Because all studies have indicated that the learner will learn best if the learning is done in their mother tongue or their early language.
Et c'est pourquoi dans la mise en œuvre de cette réforme curriculaire, toutes les langues du Niger, et il y en a 11, ont été érigées en langue nationale.
And that is why, in those reforms, all the languages of Niger, which are 12 in number, were elevated to national languages.
Bien sûr, dans la constitution du pays.
In the constitution.
Et c'est en ce moment qu'on a mis en place un mécanisme qui est sous-tendu par, comme je l'ai dit, les langues nationales et l'approche basée sur les situations. Parce que nous avons dit que si nous voulons enseigner dans nos langues nationales, il faudrait que l'enseignement que nous voulons transmettre soit basé sur le contexte, sur la situation réelle des enfants.
Oh, and that is when now they came up with the strategies, with measures, and one of the things I noted is that there is the issue of the situation or the context, that proper learning will be done in a given context, in a situation that is real for the learner.
C'est pourquoi nous avons mené une étude qui nous a permis d'identifier toutes les situations possibles autour desquelles nous devons organiser notre enseignement.
That's why we carried out a study to find out all the necessary situations around the learning for our learners.
C'est ce que nous appelons dans notre jargon au Niger les familles de situations.
That's what we call in our jargon in Niger the family of situations.
Toujours dans le cadre de la mise en œuvre du moins de la réforme curriculaire, nous avons équipé, parce que pour enseigner une langue nationale, il faudrait créer les conditions de son enseignement.
So they equipped when they were doing the reforms. Pardon, messieurs?
Nous avons équipé, j'ai dit qu'il faut équiper les langues pour qu'elles puissent être enseignées.
So we had to come with all the necessary resources for languages so that they were able to be taught.
C'est-à-dire qu'il faut les écrire, il faut les lire.
Yeah, so that means the languages should be read and should be written.
Voilà, donc c'est ainsi que l'approche nigérienne du curriculum, elle s'est faite étape par étape.
So that is how the reforms of the curriculum in Niger was done step by step.
C'est une approche holistique.
It's a holistic approach.
Qui va du préscolaire à l'université.
Which begins from preschool to the university.
Dans la phase de dans le processus de la mise en œuvre du curriculum, actuellement, nous sommes au niveau CE1, c'est-à-dire la 3e année du primaire.
So in the curriculum rollout now, we are at the 3rd level of primary.
Parce que dans notre schéma, comme nous avons choisi le schéma étape par étape, nous avons une phase d'expérimentation, une phase d'extension et une phase de généralisation. Actuellement, nous sommes à la phase d'extension.
So, because we have 3 phases, so there is the phase of experimentation, then we move to that one of extension, and now we are at that level of extension.
Nous sommes sur une feuille de route qui, en principe, en 2027, va nous amener à la généralisation de l'enseignement bilingue, de l'enseignement des langues nationales au niveau des écoles primaires, au niveau de toutes les écoles primaires.
So we are on that rollout, which by 2027 will have enabled us to get to the generalization of teaching of bilingual languages, that means the national languages, and I mean all the national languages in our country.
Voilà, donc nous fonctionnons sur la base de ce que nous appelons le bilinguisme scolaire, c'est-à-dire que chaque Nigérien, en fonction de la région où il se trouve, chaque petit Nigérien, en fonction de la région où il se trouve, il apprend dans sa langue nationale maternelle et le français.
So in our system now we work on what we call the bilingualism. So that means every learner in every part of Niger will have to do his studies now in French and then in the other national language that they speak.
Donc voilà un peu la situation actuelle. Je ne vais pas rentrer, il y a beaucoup de détails, je ne vais pas rentrer dans les détails, nous n'avons que 10 minutes. Là où se trouve la mise en œuvre du curriculum. Mais je voudrais relever que la mise en œuvre et la réussite d'un curriculum dépend de la volonté politique.
So that's about all in terms of development of curriculum in Niger. I know I can talk about many things because there are a lot of details, but I would like just to say that when it comes to the rollout of curriculum, there is a lot of goodwill that is needed from the political circles.
Heureusement, et ça c'est peut-être l'une de nos forces, c'est qu'actuellement nous bénéficions d'un grand soutien. Les plus hautes autorités de notre pays sont à cheval sur la question de la réforme du curriculum. Et que ce soit du point de vue de la formation, que ce soit du point de vue de la mobilisation des moyens, en tout cas nous avons un soutien fort.
So fortunately, that would be like our strong point, because now the authorities are fully in support of curriculum reforms in all elements, whether it is in resources and all other aspects of curriculum reform.
Nous avons aussi de plus en plus une mobilisation sociale, parce que vous savez, l'une des difficultés que lorsque vous dites que vous voulez enseigner dans nos langues nationales en Afrique, c'est qu'au niveau même de la communauté, on a l'impression que l'enseignement dans les langues nationales, c'est un enseignement qui est au rabais. Et les communautés sont réticentes.
So we're saying that now that we talk about doing the curriculum using the national languages, we have the issues where sometimes the population is quiet.
Oui, c'est pourquoi nous sommes en train de mettre un dispositif de sensibilisation, un plan de communication qui sont en train d'amener de plus en plus la communauté à adhérer à la mise en œuvre du curriculum.
That's why we are now coming up with measures on the issue of sensitizing the community to be able now to accept the rollout of the curriculum.
Et nous pensons qu'avec toutes ces perspectives, c'est-à-dire la volonté politique, la mobilisation, l'adhésion de la population, et surtout les conditions de plus en plus aujourd'hui, la question du curriculum est au centre du débat en Afrique, nous pensons qu'il y a des raisons d'espérer pour que nous puissions mettre en place un véritable curriculum qui sera à mesure de transformer significativement notre société.
So what we're saying is that with all these measures that we have mentioned, that is the political goodwill, mobilization of the society, and also participation of the society, we would wish that we come up with a curriculum that is going to be beneficial to the society.
C'est pourquoi, nous c'est la traduction, c'est plus lent, il faut le dire ça.
Yeah, with the same with the translation, it's a bit slow, so.
Voilà, donc, je voudrais finir en disant que le Niger encourage toutes les initiatives, notamment celle de l'ACA. Et le Niger pense que si l'Afrique veut avancer, si l'Afrique veut se développer, elle sera bien obligée de procéder à la transformation de son curriculum.
So
on sera bien obligé, compte tenu de nos faiblesses, compte tenu de nos difficultés communes, nous sommes obligés d'être solidaires.
So we're saying that Niger is really appreciating and supporting ACA, and so we're saying that we need now to have a very solid curriculum, and the one that is based on transformation, so that we are able to transform our education system.
Thank you.
Merci.
Yes, we clap. Then we clap. Bien. Bien is good. Mudengi, bien is good, isn't it? Yeah, that's very good. Thank you very much, and a big clap to all our presenters. And I want to just request our presenters, there's somebody, I'm finishing. Yeah, he's going to find out something for me. There is one more presentation that is coming from Zanzibar. And as soon as I'm told the link is ready, we shall see that. So I just want to pass this message as the Zanzibar one is being presented. Our presenters here, you'll see the Zanzibar one from the screen in front of you. The other screens, as soon as the IT team is ready, they will alert me. So we have one more from the Institute of Curriculum in Zanzibar. It's coming, and as it comes, I'm being guided by Dr. Gertrude that it's on the way. It's still in the air, it's arriving. I want to ask our presenters if you can make for us a one-pager. Please, Budangi, tell the French team what I'm saying. A one-pager of what you have said. Okay?
Oui, donc elle vous demande de vous préparer